Welcome back to the Goku Report, and this is the first top 10 list on this channel. It's going to revolve around, of course, music. And if you're wondering the music in the background, that's just a mix of chillwave, very much 80s inspired music. With that said, this is a list of, for me personally, 10 must hear songs from the 1990s. One of my personal favorite decades of music. 80s and the 90s are pretty much my top two favorite decades. So with that said, these are songs that I very much enjoyed either when I was a kid and teenager in the 90s, or I have come back, look at in more current time, and I appreciate it more now than I used to. So with that said, some honorable mentions. Wicked Game by Chris Isaac, as well as Follow Me by Uncle Kracker. I know, weird sounding name, but he actually had a couple of good songs, especially in the 90s. He had some good stuff. Also, in the middle, Jimmy Eat World. Pretty solid band, which a lot of people today have probably never heard of. Also, we have All, yeah, All I Wanna Do by Sheryl Crow. So with that said, first coming in at number 10 is, I'm sure, a band that many people have never heard of, and I'm not surprised, but they were pretty popular in alternative rock in the 1990s, and that is the thing. The 90s was a decade of tons, either towards the end of the decade was more known for nu metal, pop punk, and stuff like that. But in the 90s, we also really enjoyed things like ska music or, um, of course, grunge slash post grunge and alternative rock. There was a great variety of different style artists in that decade. Coming at number 10 is one of those artists that came out of alternative rock. I love this song to this day. It's a great song, very enjoyable, and I think they have quite a bit of underrated material. Unfortunately, this is probably one of their best well known songs, if not their biggest. The song is called Hold My Hand by Hootie and the Blowfish. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you've never heard of Hootie and the Blowfish. They were very much a more underground or alternative. If you grew up in the 90s, then more likely you're going to know who Hootie and the Blowfish are, more so than 2000s onward, because the 90s was really the only time period that they were ever really known. Unfortunately, though they had some great work, unfortunately they've been pretty much forgotten, which kind of sucks. Coming in at number 9 is called I Want You. Other people call it the Cherry Cola song, but it's called I Want You, by more of a pop rock band from the late 90s, early 2000s. And that is coming at number 9 with the song Savage Garden. Now, I was first introduced to the song I Want You from Savage Garden in an episode of, I'll admit, Guilty Pleasure show. It was the teen drama show I watched growing up because I was at the right age for the show at the time, given I was a teenager, early teen years when the show started. So, perfect time period. That being the show Dawson's Creek. Yes, I'll admit. When I was a teenager, that was my teen drama show I watched, was Dawson's Creek. Yeah, you had better stuff like One Tree Hill and stuff, though. Luckily, not too much later, I would get into stuff like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Charm, way better shows. But I'll admit, there is part of me that will always have a guilty pleasure and special place for Dawson's Creek. In the fact, a few of the actors from the show have gone on to have pretty good careers. Katie Holmes has sadly is more known just for Tom Cruise's ex, is what, unfortunately. Coming at number 8 is, in my opinion, one of the most unique female music artists that came out in the 90s to early 2000s when she was big. Nowadays, not many people really talk about her. In my opinion, she has maybe the most unique female vocal sound and style of any female artist I can think of that came out of the 90s. Coming at number 8 is the song I Try by Macy Gray. Macy Gray, I love her music. Honestly, she is, in my opinion, criminally underrated, and I really wish more people would actually listen to Macy Gray's work. If you've never heard of Macy Gray, check out I Try or check out a few other singles that she released from like the early 2000s. She also did one of her later singles in early 2000s was actually used on the soundtrack in the movie of the first original Spider-Man of the Tobey Maguire films, which is pretty cool. I appreciate at least trying to introduce a few more people to Macy Gray, but I feel like sadly most people have no clue who she is, and I feel her work needs more love than it gets. Coming in at number 7 is definitely a guilty pleasure song of mine from the 90s. It is called Still My Sunshine by Lynn or L.E.N. I'll admit, guilty pleasure of mine, I also kind of have a guilty pleasure for their cover of Kids in America, which was featured on the soundtrack and, of course, Digimon the movie, interestingly enough. But honestly, I'll admit they are definitely one of my big guilty pleasures from the 90s. Very much a 90s act that really didn't do much of anything after their first album. They tried on and off again. Sometime I might do an actual video on the group since a lot of people don't talk about the band much. With that up, next at number 6 is, in my opinion, probably my personal favorite British group from the 90s. And that being Third Eye Blind. And coming at number 6 is their single, Jumper. I will say one thing about Third Eye Blind is, like, upbeat and catchy and stuff as their music is, when you actually read the lyrics to a lot of Third Eye Blind's work, it's dark and pretty effed up. To say it, since I try my best not to cuss, but it's very dark and messed up. A lot of the songs, like, especially songs like Semi, whatever, I forget, sometimes I forget songs in a second, but Jumper for me is probably about my personal favorite song because it was the first single I ever heard from the band, and it's what first introduced me to Third Eye Blind, and I feel their music should get a little more attention, even if the frontman of Third Eye Blind is pretty much a real douchebag. From everything I've heard behind the scenes about how he's treated some of his bandmates and record labels or studios to record stuff, yeah, a very pretentious person. But it doesn't change the fact a lot of the early first 3 albums, great work. And seriously, if you've never heard Third Eye Blind, check out some of their stuff. Check out Jumper. Check out some of the Air stuff. I mean, seriously, they have some great work. Coming in at number 5 is my personal favorite single from Smash Mouth. Yes, I know, the band people call the Shrek Band and stuff, mainly because of All Star. Newsflash, there's many, much better songs than All Star from Smash Mouth. I mean, they have like 6 or 7 hits on the Billboard charts. I'm not even kidding. This was one of their earlier hits, and I feel it is far superior and way more enjoyable. Yeah, All Star is a very catchy song, don't get me wrong. They have many, though, catchy hits that were released in the late 90s and stuff. And this was my personal favorite song. This was the second single I ever heard from the band. My personal favorite song, and coming at number 5 from Smash Mouth, is Then the Morning Comes. A really weird, kind of bizarre music video, but to be fair, most Smash Mouth music videos were weird. But then again, the frontman constantly was usually high off his rocker, so it's no surprise. But seriously, Smash Mouth is actually a pretty good band, and in my opinion, one of the bands that sadly gets overshadowed by that one song, All Star, from Shrek. That's a sad thing. People call them the Shrek Band, even though they have many much better songs than All Star. Seriously, check out some of their other work. And definitely check out When the Morning Comes, or Then the Morning Comes. Also, coming at number 4 is definitely a somewhat guilty pleasure song of mine, though I actually like the fact there's actually a lot more to the actual interpretation, the actual lyrics, than at first glance, and that being the song at 4 is Barbie Girl by Aqua. Very good song, actually, and much more complexity and a lot more deep metaphorical terms and meanings in the song than actually it appears from the outside, because I've watched documentaries where they've interviewed Aqua members and they talked about it was basically making fun of the stereotype only caring about money and looks and stuff. And in fact, that's the whole point of the Barbie girl, is that they're basically nothing but plastic. And that's something I actually like. I like something that sounds very popish and stuff, but when you actually look into it, there's actually a lot more behind the song than at first glance. And that's something I appreciate about artists like Aqua, that there's actually more to their music than at first glance. Coming in at number 3 is definitely a song to this day I love listening to constantly. And I've never gotten tired, that's the weird thing, which is why it comes in at number 3. And I will do more lists like this in the future, because there's many great songs from the 90s I feel that deserve more love than they get. At number 3 is the song by OMC How Bizarre, which was the only major hit from the artist, but I loved it. And that was around the time I was starting to really listen to like Latin pop and stuff. I'll admit, even though I'm more a rock and metal fan, I do like me some Latin pop music. And I think a lot of Latin pop is better than a lot of more American pop music, in my opinion. But especially 90s Latin pop was pretty good, catchy, and very enjoyable. And this was a song that came out of that, and I really enjoy it. And I love the over the top cheesy music video that goes with it. It's very 90s. Trust me when I say it's very 90s. But I love it. I love the song for what it is. Coming in at number 2 is a song I kind of hate to admit. I like this song as much as I do, and I feel that the band deserves a lot more love than it gets, and that is the song S Club Party by S Club 7. Yes, you heard me right. I like S Club 7, at least a small amount, and I'll admit, in my opinion, it was one of the best pop albums that came out at that time period. And I'll admit, I will always have a special place for S Club Party, and for, I remember the S Club 7 TV show, even. If you're curious, check it out. It's interesting. And the group in general, I think, is criminally underrated. Coming at number 1 is a song I will always love, no matter what, and it's a band. I will actually defend one of the few things I actually agree with. Music critic on YouTube, Rocked Luke from Rocked On. We both admit it's a guilty pleasure, and that is coming at number 1 is the song "You Get What You Give" by New Radicals. Yeah, it's not the greatest album when you listen from beginning to end, but I'll admit I like the New Radicals, even though they only did one album. Still, I appreciate the stuff, and I think songs like this actually have really good lyrical content. And in general, I think at least 50% of the album is actually really good. Even if there's definitely some not good songs on the album, I still admit I like the New Radicals, and I like their album. But quickly announcing before I cut this video, my next movie review, my second movie review on the channel, and my first album review in quite some time, and my first album review on here. First up, next movie review I'll be working on for this channel, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This is going to be interesting given I'm a major defender of the prequels. So it's going to be interesting. But that will be the next movie review for the channel. And the next album review I'm going to be working on will be another Linkin Park album. I've already reviewed in the past Meteora. I may need to do an updated version of the review, but an album I love way more than many people do. And that is my third favorite Linkin Park album of all time. And my next album review will be my review for Linkin Park Minutes to Midnight. Yes, I love this album a lot, and it's my third favorite album from the band, and I will always love Minutes to Midnight, and I will probably appreciate it more than a lot of people do. But with that said, that is the next album review and movie review coming your way. So anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Hopefully enjoy this. Let me know if you'd like me to do another one of these in the future. For 90s, heck, let me know if you'd like me to do one for like 70s music or 80s music. But with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed this issue or episode of the Goku Report. See you soon.